I used to not care about how a running shoe looked. For me, it was all about function over fashion. But when you run 24 marathons in a shoe that looks like a glow stick, you start to care. This is the Olympus 6, a shoe with a big legacy and two big questions. Did Altra finally fix the one thing I hated? And more importantly, can it take a beating?
These ones actually look great. They have these earthy tones, and from all the colorways they have, this is definitely one you want to get. I mean, at least for me. Actually, Altra just dropped 3 new colorways that are worth a detour. Let's check them out. There is this new neon blue thing, if you want to go clubbing in the forest. Another glow stick, a radioactive green, and this volcano gradient color thing, which is better than the last 2 ones, but still a lot of work to do. I mean, especially for trail runners. I like something that's a bit more natural with, you know, a bit of dirt and grit on them. And believe it or not, the colors are actually not the biggest flaw that this shoe has. So before I'm going to reveal what my biggest pain with the Olympus 5 was, let's go over the basics of this shoe. The first thing you're going to notice when you take them out of the box is that they're very dirty. No, it's actually the huge mid and outsole. Look at this thing. Super thick, 33 millimeters. The Vibram Mega Grip is the outsole, extremely wide and sturdy. And from my experience with the Olympus 5, it really holds its name. Incredible traction, especially if the trail is quite muddy, unstable, even on sand, right? Think of a race car. The wider the tire is, the more traction they get on the road. Well, if you're running on sand and you don't want to sink in too much, having a wide outsole is really useful, and you're going to save some energy when you run. And yet, still a zero drop. Same stack height in the front as in the back. But the design gives it this aggressive forward-leaning look, which personally I quite like. It doesn't look like it's a zero drop shoe. And that's kind of Altra's signature. They built their reputation on zero drop shoes. But lately they've been shifting as they introduced a new shoe to the lineup, the Forward Experience, which has a 4mm drop. So what's happening? Are they abandoning the barefoot stuff? And more importantly, does zero drop still matter? There's a lot of talk around it, benefits, risk, even a bit of cold energy. So let's cut through the noise here. Here's what zero drop actually means and why it might change the way you run. Zero drop just means that the heels and the toes sit at the same height. Basically the same setup you've had since the day you were born, barefoot. When we run barefoot, we naturally land more on the forefoot. We instinctively want to feel what we're stepping on. And that's not random. We've got thousands of nerve endings under our feet, and it's one of our body's most intelligent sensors. So every step is like a scan. Is it safe? Is it sharp? Is it stable? But of course, when you throw a thick, foamy midsole between your foot and the ground, that signal gets muted, and we can't feel the ground anymore. So we start defaulting to heel strikes, big strides with less awareness. Don't get me wrong, zero drop doesn't magically fix that. You can still heel strike with a zero drop because this is a max cushion shoe. You're not gonna get hurt by all the spikes and little rocks that are under your feet. But for many runners, including myself, who use a lot of zero drop shoes, it is a bit of a reminder to run with presence. It encourages a more natural gait, keeps your hips and spine more aligned, and over time, it helps you build stronger tendons and muscles. Zero drop changes how your body loads force. Your calves take more of the impact and your Achilles tendon actually has to do something. But that's also the upside. Every step you have more range of motion in your running form. And we know that more range of motion leads to more resilient joints and stronger muscles over time. So just know this, there's quite a lot of benefits that come with zero drop, including a more natural feel when you run, but it also feels harder. Okay, one of the main feedbacks I get from people who transition to zero drop shoes is the pain they feel in the calves and the Achilles tendon on kind of the first weeks transitioning. All right, talking about differences, this is the Olympus 5. What I hated most about these shoes is durability. You can see here in the front, I ran through a few thorns and it already kind of breaks up after about 500 to 700 kilometers. The outside part here, it always rips every single time. And for me, durability should be one of the #1 concerns if you're building an ultra trail shoe, all right? And here is why I think Altra finally listened and changed something about it. On the new shoe, there is a much thicker cover on the outside here. Now I really believe that this is going to be better than the last versions. Because if I just feel on the Olympus 5, this is like super thin mesh, right? I mean, if I wanted to break through this with my teeth, I could. Let's try it out. Yeah, this is easy to rip through. This one, let's try it. Impossible. I can't even get a hold of it. So I'm pretty confident. I like this. I like what they're doing. They're definitely listening. All right, so here's a quick comparison of the two shoes. So before I hit the trails and give you my verdict on this shoe, let's talk about the most important, but also the less talked about thing in any running shoe review, which is Minimal Index. Minimal Index is a nerdy rating system that places each running shoe in the world on a scale from 0, think like moon boots, to 100, think ultra minimal barefoot running sandals. And it basically tells you how much the shoe lets your foot do its job. So if you have moon boots or like a very maximal shoe, then it won't allow your foot to do its job, which is to feel the ground, to absorb impact, to propel yourself forward. Like, just think about what a carbon plate is. A carbon plate is an artificial way to enhance the way you propel yourself forward, okay? But it also takes away that ability from your foot. And most runners don't even know what they're working with. And that's why I put together a completely free guide on what Minimal Index is, why it matters, how to transition safely, and a list of all 2025 most popular running shoes listed by a Minimal Index. So you can see which one you're using right now and what your options are if you want to transition to more natural footwear, all right? The only thing you have to do is click the first link in the description down below. You'll get one email with the PDF inside, no bullshit. If you want it, there it is. The Olympus 6 scores about 26 to 28%, which is a very maximal shoe. This is one of the highest minimal indexes Altra has, but quite average for the running shoe market in general. So yeah, make no mistake, this is not a minimal shoe, all right? If you're coming from like more barefoot style shoes, this will feel like you're running on a stiff mattress. But if you're looking for something that feels more natural when you run, I think this is a really good halfway point, maybe between a forward experience, which is a shoe from Altra that has a 4mm drop, and something like a Lone Peak, which are really nice trail running shoes that have a wide toe box, 0 drop, and much more flexibility in them. All right, now it's time to check them out.
Damn, dude. Look at this thing. Well, shoes are holding up good. Oh, snakes. So, first run down with the new shoes, and that's my verdict. They feel extremely stiff, but no surprise there. I remember my first run with the Olympus 5, I was actually really disappointed because they just feel very, very stiff in the beginning, and it takes like 3 or 4 runs for your foot to kind of mold into the shoe. What you do feel, however, is width. This toe box is absolutely massive. In fact, it's the widest shoe Altra has ever done. Okay, another thing I noticed is just how tight the heel cup is. I used to hate that with the Olympus 5, but the longer and longer distances I ran, the more I learned how to appreciate this heel cup. Let me explain. When you run downhill in a shoe that is very wide, your foot slides inside the shoe and hits the front. Your toenails hit the front of the shoe. That's why so many ultra runners lose their toenails. So for example, the Lone Peak that I showed you earlier, like I really feel my toes hitting the front of the shoe when I go on very long trail runs, okay? Especially if there's elevation. With this one, when I was running downhill, there's a real nice lockdown of your foot. So it gives you kind of the best of both worlds. It gives you the wide shoe for your toes, but also the comfort for longer distance because it's so tight around the ankle and the heel. So if you're someone who runs long distances, or actually who hikes long distances, I really think this is a great option. All right, That was it for me. I hope you liked the video. Keep running, stay wild in. Peace.